Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing you the live commentary Forza 5, and what you're going to see here is me bringing a non-dominant WRX to the Bernese Alps Stadtplatz track. And what I'm trying to show you is how I take an average competitive car for multiplayer and for time attacks to a car that's going to be very competitive, maybe be a top 200 car on any given track. So what I'm going to do here is first show you how this car currently compares against the Honda S2000, and then I'm going to show you how I transform it, because right now it's an all-wheel drive car, how I transform it from an all-wheel drive car to a very competitive rear-wheel drive car. So I'm working on that right now. So I'm just going to run a lap or two here and show you where it sits right now. The S2000 that I'm racing against right now is about, I think it's like 410th maybe on this leaderboard. So it's not great, but it's not horrible either. So I'm going to see if I can maybe get really close to beating it one time, and then I'm going to show you the difference of when I take this all-wheel drive car and move it up to a rear-wheel drive car and see how much better we can do with it. This car, the problem with the car that I have right now is that it understeers a little bit because it's an all-wheel drive, and it's a little bit heavier, so you have to stop a little sooner. So let's see if we can put a really good lap together here to see if we can actually beat it. We're getting close, but I have not been able to beat it yet. There we go. We got a good turnout of that one. So we're gonna give this a run. I gotta kind of turn into the turns a little bit early, and because the car is all-wheel drive and it's a little bit slower right now, I actually have to use the shifter to get it to dive in a little bit. So I'm gonna, hopefully that's not dirty. Not dirty. Okay. Thought I was gonna dirty up that lap by hitting that. And again, that goes back to it being understeer. So we're gonna see if we can put a good lap together here. This will be the last lap that I race, and then I'll move it to the parts and tunes, and we'll see if we can get it to do a little bit better. I'm going to shift this time. I think the 5th is right after this turn. No, maybe not. Get this speed up a little bit. There we go. We'll shift right now. See if it'll climb a little bit more. Not really. That's right. So we're ahead of our last lap by just a little bit. The brakes a little bit earlier. Get this thing to start diving down. There we go. Better turn. Gonna be close. So after I finish this, I'll show you the time, and then I'll show you where we're at, and then we'll improve it and go forward from there. So I beat him by 1/10 of a second. So this will be really close to that 400th place, which isn't bad for this all-wheel drive C-Class car. Obviously, we have a lot of improvements we could do. And I'm excited to show you how I do that. Looking at the car, looks like I have stock tires, maybe stock suspension. So we have a lot of adjustments to do here. Okay, I'm going to show you what place, and then I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to go get organized with the car, and we'll look at everything. So we're 455th. So that must have been 514 before, so a little bit lower than I thought. So we're in the top 500 with an all-wheel drive car that I think can do a lot better. So hang on there, and I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. So I made some pretty major adjustments to this Subaru. And first and foremost, I did drivetrain. I moved it to a rear-wheel drive. I gained so much PI from that. I think I gained like 35 PI from that I was able to actually do this conversion upgrade of the engine as well. And you can see that I gained a lot of horsepower. I gained 62 horsepower by changing this. Now, one thing I want to mark is you can see the power band for this particular engine is, you know, between 4,000 and about 5,500. So it kind of maxes out at about 5,300. So my gearing and my shifting is going to be right around that area. So I want to keep my horsepower right in there, that power band. So going through here, with the PI, I was able to get everything that I wanted to. I have race front wing and race rear wing. That's hard to say. But I have that. I have all these race components. I was able to put the roll cage in it. I was able to do a weight reduction, just one of them though. I tried a different setup with more reduction, but it didn't garner me much better times. I have race clutch, race driveline, race differential. I've been racing with the stock. That's actually been gaining me a little bit of PI. In this case, it's about 1, 2, depending on where it falls, but I gained that 1 extra PI there. The stock transmission is still 6-speed, is still completely adjustable. I was able to go up a compound here, so I was in the stock tires, and I've gone up a compound to the street. No width in the front, and I have full width in the back, and that's really helping me handle and keep the tires on the ground on the back. I did my normal wheel, which is that one, LTC 701 in the third set there. And then for the width, or the size of the rim, you can see that I made them even, and I went to the middle of both of them. So I don't have the thinnest tires, but I do have good tires there. On the tune, I actually used a lot of the idea around my muscle car that I did with this car as well, because as you're going to see here, it's a rear-wheel drive car, and it has some pretty good weight to it. I'm going to show you here the numbers. So it's 3,600 pounds, good horsepower, good torque, 55% in the front. So that really does kind of line up with the muscle cars. So if you've watched my muscle cars tuning, you're going to see this is going to be very similar. Since I don't have the fully small tires and I don't have the normal stock tires, I kind of went in between. I went 29 on each. I've been adjusting the gears for this particular track, and I'm at 330. This one's pretty standard. This was actually a starting point for me, and I'm not saying that I won't change it again in the future, but it actually does run pretty well. I did a couple test laps with it. This toe makes it dive in pretty well, and I could probably flatten that out. I'm going to go ahead and stay with the rear with the negative 0.1 there. I upped the caster a little bit. I started at 5, and I've kind of gone up a little bit. This one actually probably could use a couple of more because the car is so heavy. But I'll leave it at the 5.3 for right now. I did a good time with that. Anti-roll bar, started in the middle, like I always do. Stiffened up the front, left the bottom where it was at. It seems to be handling pretty well. I probably won't do much more adjustments on that. Springs, again, doing the math, take the overall weight of the car divided by 4, and that's about where I'm at with the springs. I went a little bit stiffer and a little bit softer in the rear, and I lowered it down completely. This was an adjustment after I drove it. Started with my 10, front rebound at 10, and went in between a 5 and 10 on this one. Usually I go 10 and 5. I went ahead and bumped it up right away to the 7.5 because I've been having some pretty good experience right around that 7.5 mark. This has been standard. I set it at 4 and 2. That's a starting point for me on the bump stiffness. I've had some good reaction with that. Full front aero and rear, and brakes I left at 53%, 110. That's a starting point again. It seems to be braking pretty well for me. Again, that's a pretty standard muscle car setting. And this is my starting point on the differential 5 and 10. So the interesting part on this is I was able to put a few times down doing a couple different setups, and this one actually has turned out the best. Now you'll have to watch me drive it and watch the way that I shift it to really get an idea of how you'll need to drive it. So I'm gonna pause the video again, and I'm gonna go get this set up, and I won't make you watch me load all these screens up. So I'll be right back again. Hang in there. Alright, and I'm back again. So I did my first warm-up lap. I didn't want you guys to have to watch that. And I am moving on to the time attack now. So one thing you're going to find is how early I shift. You can see we're going to lose a little bit of ground on the turns. But watch this shift, just over 5 grand, about 5,200 RPMs is when I start shifting. You can see I have a lot more speed on this background here. I'm over 120. I have to let off just a little bit there. I got a little bit late in that turn. Now watch the top speed here. If you compare this to the other one, I think I was going about 147, 148. You can see we're going well beyond that now. Didn't maintain a great deal of speed there, but that's okay. It's still going to be a pretty decent lap. But watch my shifts again. I'm about to shift again. See how early that is? And it seems like you don't have enough RPMs to get up this hill, but believe it or not, I will stay right around the 120 mark, regardless of what I entered at. This car just climbs now. See what I mean? Almost 120. It goes 120 if I make a good turn through there. And we're shifting early because that power band and that turbo is just so early. Now, one thing about this car compared to what it was is it dives in a lot better. It's lighter. It brakes a lot faster. I do get a little bit of back end slide onto it every once in a while, but you're going to see our laps are just so much better. 130, yeah, see, we're almost 2 seconds faster. That wasn't even a real good lap. Let me see if I can get a really good lap here. I'll go one more. Let's slow the tires a little bit, but that's okay. Let's see if we can gain a little bit of time here. I mean, I'm going 120, 122, 124 back here. It's just incredible. Had a little late turn there, so I'm a little behind my last lap. But I can run these pretty consistently too. Give that a double downshift, see if we can stay a little bit high in the turn. There we go. Just let those RPMs, let that horsepower take over. See if I can get into this turn a little bit better this time. See if we can get over 120 in the turns. I like to play it kind of in here and then just kind of straighten it out. Let it gain some speed. 121, 122. See, just a lot more speed up the hill than where we were, and I've made up all that time that I was behind too. So we might be able to get this in the 136s. If I can get a good turn here. It turned out alright. Just power on down the hill here, shift at that 5,200 mark. And yep, 136s. I mean, look at that improvement. Oh, 2 seconds faster with that change. So that is conversion from all-wheel drive on a tuner car to a rear-wheel drive. I actually even had a faster lap before that one. I was actually in the 135, so there's a lot of potential with that car. The top speed in this one, the first place guy is in the 133s. And I'm not saying that this car, the way it's set up, will make it there, but it could make a good run at it. You go enough laps and it might make a good run at it. All right, like I said, four all-wheel drive to two-wheel drive conversion. Gain some power, gain some time. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll catch you later.